Hi, it's Lucy. I'm going to be doing a director's commentary and voiceover video to answer the question, in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? To begin with, we used a green screen, which is used in many trailers. It shows that it's the real thing, and it kind of added a level of authenticity, so we used that convention of real media trailers. To begin our trailer, we used a basic tracking shot. It was also an establishing shot, which a lot of trailers do that to show the main character straight away so you know who it is. And we used the use of titles, which is used in many trailers to kind of gives the audience an idea about the plot, but it also draws them in by asking them questions, makes them feel involved, so we use that convention. In terms of camera shots, we used a range of different shots. We used high angle, low angle to show like the position of authority the person was in. For example, high angle shot looking down on the character showed that the character was of low authority, and for example when the character's in the hall on the floor, there's a high angle shot looking down to show that she's vulnerable. We also used tracking shots for the chase scenes and like moving scenes. We also used focus pulls to show like the character's face at the beginning and then moving to the coins, which kind of showed where the character was looking. So all of these shots are usually used in action trailers, as they show a lot of the story, and they subtly show kind of roles of the characters, which we thought was effective. And also to add to the authenticity of our genre, we wanted to use camera shots that are often used in action films and action genre trailers, so we used this and developed this in our trailer. Here we used After Effects to create this Shatter Resistant Productions logo or banner, and many like official trailers have their own, like Universal Studios, they have theirs, it usually comes up, and we thought that this was good because it used and it kind of developed the conventions of official media products, but it was also kind of ironic how it said shatter resistant and it was all like shattering out the wall, so we thought that was a nice touch. Then when it came to editing, we overexposed the colour of one of the character, the one wearing the bright clothes, to make it noticeably brighter, and then we kind of darkened the other one with the character wearing black to make that noticeably darker, so then you could definitely distinguish where the life path is split to show the two different roles of the characters. Then we developed, but we kind of underdeveloped the use of special effects by simplifying the coin flip, by just basically attaching the coin to a piece of string, spinning it, flipping the shot, then editing out the string to make it look like it's flipping by itself, which I thought was really clever. And to show the difference between the two characters and the two life paths that open up from flipping the coin, we used distinctive mise-en-scène and costumes and hairstyles. As one character, it has straight hair and a neat face and is wearing all black, and that's the tough character, and then the other character is wearing colours and has kind of curly messy hair and her face is all kind of messy as well. So we use basic mise-en-scène there to show the distinction between the two characters. We found that usually in action genre films and trailers, the editing is quite fast-paced to keep up with like the tension and the rhythm of the whole thing. So we use fast cuts and fast-paced editing throughout the trailer, which used the conventions of action genre trailers. Another thing we did that relates to both camera work and editing was creating a split screen by keeping the camera in the same place and shooting two pieces of footage, then splitting them where appropriate and putting them together, making it look like the character was splitting in two. This developed the use of camera shots and also editing, as it's quite a rare but simple technique. It also developed the roles of action genres, as it split the main character into two main features of action films, the predator and also the prey. In terms of the location that we used, it's very different to a real action genre film because usually action films are shot in urban areas with big skyscrapers and busy roads and street lights and loads of people, and stereotypically they're set in like city centres and things, whereas we shot in rural areas, in villages and by houses, instead of in like the big city, because that's the only place where we could really shoot, because we definitely knew it was quiet and everything. But I think we made it work because it challenged the conventions of a real media product, of a real action film, and made it more, I think it made it more interesting. In terms of the music, we got the music off Free Sound Project, and we found an upbeat, quite fast-paced piece of music that fit with the fast-paced editing and really exaggerated the tension and added to it and kind of built it all up, which is again commonly used in action trailers. So this used the convention of normal action trailers. In terms of sound effects, we used a few punch sounds and tyre squeaking, which is also used a lot in action films, as there's usually a lot of fight scenes or punching or car chases and everything in action scenes. So just by bringing in the simple sound effects, it used more forms of real media pieces.
I was given a choice: to run from my past or to fight for my future.
We then introduced a voiceover, which many official trailers use voiceovers, as it tells you about the plot and it also makes you listen and kind of draws you in a bit more. So we use this convention. Also, with it being the main character's voice, many actual trailers use this trait, as it's kind of like a first person point of view, so then you know who the main character is, as it's their voice in the trailer. Ending our trailer, we added the tagline in titles, and then the name of the film, and then the date it was going to be coming out, and then right at the end there was a shot with all the titles in, like the productions and the director and the writer and all them things. At the end of real trailers, we found that was commonly there, and it usually flashed up quite quickly. Usually it's kind of just to give credit to the people who have done the film, so that's why we kind of added it in, because we thought it was a nice touch and it used more conventions of trailers. And also by adding the tagline, the date and the title, this conformed to movie trailers, because most movie trailers involve the name of the film that's being advertised, so you know what it is, possibly the tagline, as it makes you more interested, and then the date it's coming out. If you want to go and see it, you'll know when it's coming out. So we use them forms of action trailers as well. We also developed conventions of media posters in the ancillary tasks, as we brought in a new up-and-coming form of technology. It's been around for a while, but it's making a big comeback now, which is 3D technology, and we use that to add this to our poster, because we thought it was a great effect that we could do. And because of all the advances in technology nowadays, we thought it'd be nice to kind of roll with the times and add certain aspects of like new media into our work. So this kind of developed certain conventions of real media products, and it conformed with the action genre, as action trailers are usually, or any trailers in general, they're kind of made to draw you in and keep you interested and keep your mind busy. And this is what the 3D does in our poster, is when you look at it through 3D glasses, your mind's drawn in to look at everything in the poster. And that's why we wanted to add it, because usually if you just look at anything, if it's in 3D, it always draws you in, it looks really good. So adding it to our poster literally added another dimension to our poster, and I think it looks really good. So it made it effective, but it also developed conventions of posters, and it also developed the action genre that was running through all of our work. In our magazine cover, we conformed to, but also challenged the forms of Empire magazine, as usually the face that's on the front of the cover is usually the full face, and the eye line is like more or less centered with the page. However, we split the face into two, swapped it round so it looked like there were two faces on the cover, but you knew it was the same person. It was showing the, again, aspects of the story, but it also challenged the layout and the forms of Empire magazine, which we were imitating. As well as that, it conformed as we kept the eye line centered with the page, and where it usually is when you see Empire magazine, when there's a face of a character from another film on the front. So we used conventions and the forms of the layout of that magazine. When it comes to the stereotypical roles of gender, we both challenge and conform to these roles in films. For example, we conform to the stereotype of a typical damsel in distress by making one of the female characters weak and in need of help. We then challenge this stereotype by making the other female character strong and tough and in control and involved in fight scenes where she wins. The fight itself is quite a phallic symbol, so making the female fight, we challenge the conventions of gender stereotypes of real media products such as movie trailers by giving her stereotypical masculine traits. For the male characters, we conform to their tough stereotype when they're chasing the weaker female. However, when faced with the tougher female, their roles are challenged as they become inferior to the female, whereas usually it's a large stereotype that the masculine figure is superior to the feminine figure and usually tougher. Our trailer followed the conventions of an action-themed genre, so we used and developed many features of this genre to keep our trailer looking authentic and realistic. We used stereotypical action features like fight scenes, chase scenes, and assassin agency concepts, and an agent hacking into a mysterious system, and so on. There were also a few scenes of the main character, Ava, and she was hiding behind things. And we went from one stretch to the other by, on one side, the character Ava was hiding from someone to avoid being caught, and on the other side she was hiding, waiting to jump out and catch people who were trying to get her. This may not come through that obviously in our trailer, however we tried to use and show as many genre stereotypes as we could. So overall we used a lot of things used like camera shots, editing, mise-en-scène, music and trailer traits and all sorts to conform to, also challenge, exaggerate, develop a lot of the forms that are in action films, also a lot of the conventions that are usually found in trailers. And when it came to the ancillary task of the poster and the magazine cover, we used a lot of our own spin on a lot of the conventions. So in terms of the ancillary tasks with the poster and the magazine, we used a lot of originality and put our own spin on many of the conventions that were found in posters and magazine covers. Moreover, in all of them ways, by using all of these, we were able to make quite an effective trio of action-genred pieces of media.